Hi, I'm Rachel and this is Lunabird Book Club. This is my July reading wrap up. I'm actually filming. I mean, it is the 21st of July, but I am filming. I finished War Poems, or The War Poems by Siegfried Sassoon at the weekend. So I'm returning it to the library today and hoping to pick up the copy of The Shadow of what, that's not what it's called. The Light of All That Falls, which is the third book in the Lacanius trilogy that I've borrowed from the library for 20 renewal dates. Had to return it once because I ran out of renewals. Had to return it again because I ran out of renewals. And I can't remember if I took that back in June or July. I don't know, but I took that back to the library at some point. I've also finished listening to The Eye of the World in July, and I've started listening to The Great Hunt. This is because Cathy's rereading Willow Time, so we're talking about it together. But yes, so I'm gonna try and read every day of July that is left, and then I'll actually be able to have books. You know what I mean? Like, I have so many books, I just don't read them. So once I've read those books, then I can get more books. I didn't want to film again in the car because of the steering wheel, and I also realised that I didn't tell you what I thought about the War Poems. I enjoyed the War Poems, not in a ha this is such a good book, so funny, so happy kind of way, because obviously it's about war. One of the things I thought was quite notable about the collection was that as time progressed, so in the beginning the poems were quite just critical about war in general, about the needless waste of life and the horror of being in this violent environment. Then towards the end, at least to me, the poems just read much more, as well as being critical about war itself, also being critical of the people in charge who were continuing it and forcing men to do unspeakable acts and put themselves in traumatizing situations. So I thought that was really interesting. I do still have another book of collected war poetry that is due back on the 5th of August. I got a receipt from the library this time, and I think that I'm going to pin it to my notice board so that I don't get any more fines. So I might read some more of those. I don't know. But after I had returned the War Poems, I then went and looked around the library for a few minutes, and I have come out with 5 books, which, when I think about the amount of books that I have on my TBR, is perhaps too many. But hey, the beauty of library books is that you can just give them back if you don't read them, and I need to remember that instead of just holding on to them until I run out of time. Anyway, so I did find The Light of All That Falls. Hooray! Will I read this? Who knows? And I also picked up 2 other novels. So one of them is called People Collide by Isle McElroy. This, according to the blurb, is about a husband and wife who change bodies. So the husband leaves the house and realises that he's in his wife's body, and then his wife in his body has disappeared and he has to find her. And it's about like gender and sexuality and the self. And then I also picked up The Constant Rabbit by Jasper Fjord, who is the author of Shades of Grey, which is a book that I read a couple of years ago, which is like a comedy sci-fi dystopian thing about people who can only see a specific shade of colour and how people's worth in society is dictated by the colours that they can see. And I'm really excited to read the sequel of that, Red Side Story, but I just need to find space in my book reading habit to do that. But this is about a village in Wales where a group of human-sized anthropomorphized rabbits move in, and from what I can tell from the blurb, it's a village that aren't particularly happy about that. They're quite right-wing and just social satirical commentary on racism and xenophobia and all that kind of jazz. So I'm excited to read both of these if I actually get around to them. I'm more excited about these than The Light of All That Falls, which kind of tells me that maybe I should just give up on this completely, but I'm not quite at that stage in my mind yet. That was a really hard hit against my head. I went looking for the poetry section, couldn't find it, had to ask a person in the library for help. They couldn't find it because they just moved it around. But while I was looking for the poetry section, because I don't know, I'm just on a bit of a poetry kick, I found this book by Hugh Hollinghurst called The Little History of Lancashire And I thought, hey, I'm from Lancashire. I live in Lancashire. I bet that'll be fun. So I just picked it up. And then when I found the poetry section, now here's the thing. This year, one of my reading goals is to read an A to Z of female authors. This is the only book that I got from the library by a female author, Anna Sampson. And it's just a collection of other people's poems that she thinks we should learn, with some little comments by her as well, but I don't really think this will count towards my goal. But I was inspired to get this because of Cathy's reading goal to learn poems to recite. It has a huge selection of poetry in it from all sorts of years, and that will be fun. Oh, I have another thing. I go on holiday tomorrow and I've chosen the books I'm going to take, so I just thought I'd show them to you. I'm going to take The Little Grey Men by B.B. or Dennis Watkins Pitchford. This is a little book about some little gnomes that go on a little seasonal adventure through the English countryside. It sounds really cute and I really want to read it over summer. I'm also taking The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. I got this book because some of my online friends were starting a book club and this is the book they were reading. So I got a copy of it, didn't read it, didn't partake in the discussion about it, and I've had it on my shelves for, I don't know, maybe 5 years. Great. I'm also taking This Is How We Come Back Stronger, which is a collection of essays, short stories, different think pieces by lots of feminist writers. This was compiled in 2020 by the Feminist Book Society, and it's just about the impact that COVID left a lot of time for thought and appraisal and things like that. So there's lots of essays in here about racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, domestic violence, you know, all that really, really happy stuff. I've read a couple of the pieces in here so far, but it's not really a book that you just sit and read cover to cover. So I'm hoping to get a couple more of those read while I'm away. And I'm also taking Fables Volume 10, The Good Prince. I think there's a good selection there. 2 novels, a comic, and some essays. I'm also going to pick a play or 2 to take with me, just so I have some different things that I can be thinking about. And I think that's it. I've chosen some plays. I've turned on every single light in this room, trying to make it bright enough to film in, but it's not really working. Anyway, the plays I have chosen are Peter Gill's The York Realist. This actually has 2 plays in, well, it has the York Realist in, and then it looks like it has 2 one-act plays that are connected at the end. I actually read the York Realist on the way here, and it was okay. It was quite sad, but a little dry, I think is what I'll say about that. I've also brought The Incident Room by Olivia Hirst and David Room. I think this is about the Yorkshire Ripper. It is about the Yorkshire Ripper. And I've brought Time and the Conways by J.B. Priestley. I don't actually know what this is about, but we're reading it for the play reading committee in my local amateur dramatics group. Let me read the blurb. I don't know. So those are the 3 plays that I brought. I now have realised on arriving, I'm only here till Saturday, and I feel like I might have brought too many things to read. But at least now I have the opportunity to choose what I want to instead of being stuck with just one book. We'll see how I get on through the week, I guess, but I'm feeling good after the drive down, having read 1 play already. I also read some of The Little Paris Bookshop, and I don't know, it feels a bit slow. I don't know if I'm going to gel with it. But I suppose this year I am giving myself more freedom to DNF things. So if it doesn't grip me, I guess I've got lots of different books to choose from. It's the 25th of July and I am just getting started with Fables Volume 10 today, The Good Prince. I've looked at the character list and this appears to be very heavy on Ambrose Flycatcher. And based on my last conversation with Cathy, that fills me with excitement. It is still the 25th of July. I'm back from my day out and I visited a little independent bookshop in Ironbridge called The Book Nook. It was really cute. I'll put some pictures here probably. And I didn't buy any books because there were too many and I didn't have time to like properly look through them. But I picked up a mystery book, a bookie dip, and it is labelled Thriller, Assassins, Art Theft, Lives on the Line, Devastating Consequences. And it's in cute little books through my bag wrapping paper, and I just thought we could open it together and find out what it is. Oh my gosh, this ribbon is really difficult to untie. Please. I have no idea what it could be. I don't know, because you know how it is. I'm really ignorant to the world of publishing and books and famous books and stuff like that. So I don't know about any books that are to do with art theft. Maybe you do and you know what I'm about to unwrap. But of the few labels that I scanned, this sounded the most interesting. Okay, I've undone the twine. Let's unwrap it. No one can escape from the past. It is called Regret No More by Kirby. This doesn't look like a book that I would pick up myself. James Blake thought his family were safe until he received a phone call that could mean only one thing. His enemies knew where they were. A stolen Picasso lies at the heart of an international conspiracy that reaches into the life of a prominent politician with devastating consequences. That's what I said on the label. For anyone connected, Wolfgang Heller, a ruthless assassin, is seeking to eliminate those who have knowledge of the theft. James must, I've lost my place, come out of hiding and face the threats to his family by putting his life and that of his brother Miles on the line. So one day I might read this book. I might not, but I might. And then, gosh, that's a very short chapter. Not even 2 pages long. If they're all like that, I guess it'll be easy. Anyway, oh, that one is One Sentence, Wednesday, August 21st. And that is the book that I purchased today. I read a bit of Fables and a bit of the little Paris bookshop. And now I'm going to go and just relax. So... It's the 27th of July, and either late last night or in the early hours of this morning, I finished reading The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. I have kind of mixed feelings about this one. I did enjoy it, but I thought it was quite slow to start. I didn't really gel with the characters. I didn't find myself endeared to them. I got more invested in it as the story went on, but I did find it a very...
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
I don't know, I think the little press reviews for it as well kind of made it seem like it would be a book about books. And while obviously it is a book about books, it's set in a bookshop, they talk about books all the time, it just felt the references to the literature didn't really seem like they had much depth to me. Maybe I'm just too ignorant to understand many of them, but I don't know, it kind of just seemed a bit gimmicky at times. Is that the word I want to use? I don't really know. But like I said, I did enjoy it, and I don't know if you can see on the camera, I have dog-eared quite a few pages where it says things about life and love and all sorts of different things about being human. So I did find parts of it quite nice to read, but I'm not sure whether I would read it again. My summary of thoughts is that while I did enjoy it, I didn't love it, and I thought at times it was a bit bogged down in trying to be insightful about the act of reading, which just seemed a bit overwrought. Is that the right word? I don't think that's the right word, but I hope what I'm trying to describe has come across. I have read every day so far since my last vid, and I'm taking that as an accomplishment. It's the 31st of July, it's the last day of the month, which means it's time for hot chocolate. I had just enough milk left in the bottle in the fridge to make this hot chocolate in this little cup, and now I'm going to talk to you about books. I have made it too hot, so I won't be drinking from it, but the smell is chocolatey enough, I guess. I've made it so hot that there's a skin on the milk already, so that's lovely. Things I have read in July. I finished listening to The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, which is book 1 of Wheel of Time, and then I also started listening to Great Hunt. I'm not very far in Great Hunt. I'm on chapter 12. I'm about, what, a quarter? Page 200. How many pages are there? A third of the way into that. So I've read part of that. I've also read part of This Is How We Come Back Stronger. I think I read about 4 of the pieces in this month. Maybe more than 4. I didn't keep track. I have also fully read or finished reading the war poems by Siegfried Sassoon, and then I've read from start to finish in July. I have read The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. I have read The York Realist by Peter Gill. I didn't tell you about the fact that I read the 2 connected one-act plays in the back, which again were just a little bit dry for me. I'm sure some people who have memories or nostalgia or familial history connected to 1930s Cardiff or 1960s Yorkshire would really appreciate these, or at least find more content in them than I did, other than just being like a little look into rural life back then, and the limitations that had, I guess. And then I have also read and completed Fables Volume 10, The Good Prince. I finished this a little bit earlier today. I went into this being quite excited because Cathy had said that there were good things coming for Ambrose, but while it was good and I did enjoy it and I am enjoying reading Fables, I don't think this would rank in my top 3. Like, it's definitely one that I enjoyed less than the ones that have come before it. Maybe not all of the ones that come before it, but I don't know, I found myself not really being very invested in the flycatcher side of it, which is quite a lot of it. Cathy and I are going to talk about this, so I don't need to go into huge detail about this here. You should just watch our Fables Fan vs First Time Reader series. And then I acquired some books. So I got Regret No More by Seb Kirby in a book Lucky Dip. I think this is the second in a series, but I don't know how connected the series is. I think the way it was described, it was something like assassins and art theft. I think in my head I was linking that to, like, I don't know, old-timey. I mean, I've never read The Queen's Thief, but in my head that's kind of like people running around stealing things in like long coats and high boots, and I think that's what I thought this would be more like, and it is decidedly not that. I think I will still give it a chance because, you know, maybe I will enjoy it and maybe I will discover a new genre of books that I've never really given a chance to before, because it just kind of looks like an action movie in a book just based on the cover. And I know that we're not supposed to judge books by their cover, but who can blame me when that's what publishing companies throw in our faces. And then I also got given a copy of Go Back for Murder by Agatha Christie. This is a play that I have read before and probably talked about on the channel before. I'm going to be in this play in October, and we had our first read through for it last night. So I guess technically I read this play this month as well, because we read it from start to finish and I really enjoyed it. It's a really good play. If you haven't read it but want to read it, get it. It's a great script. If you haven't read it, don't like reading play scripts but want to read the story, I believe it is based on Five Little Pigs, which is an Agatha Christie Poirot novel. And if you're local to Lancashire, come and see me in it. And I think that's about it for this month. Cathy's reading journal for July came out on Wednesday. If you haven't already watched that, go and check it out. And I will see you in my koala onesie at the end of August. Bye! Cathy's reading journal. So I'm just moving the skin off my milk so that I can drink it after I finish filming. Ugh, what noise do koalas make? Maybe I could have like a koala sign off.